we are so grateful for everyone making it to tonight's training on CCL's online conference and lobby days. CCL's training program intends to provide our newer volunteers, especially, connect with each other around the larger world. And this time of year, feel empowered and ready to go for our experiences in June, this year especially transitioning to an online-only format. I'm your host, Brett Cease, and I want to thank you all for taking the time to join us tonight. Please allow me to introduce our wonderful esteemed speakers. For the first half of our call, we'll have CCL's National Events Manager, Alison Kubicsko. Alison started with CCL in 2015 as an intern within the Marketing and Events Manager and has since helped coordinate the international conferences and our November Lobby Day. As National Events Manager, Alison continues to support our organization and our conferences along with the marketing and volunteer teams to help develop resources volunteers use throughout the field in our outreach. And with Alison, the second half of tonight's training is going to be led by Amy Bennett, the wonderful Director of Congressional Liaisons and Lobby Days. As Director of Congressional Liaisons and Lobby Days, Amy provides training and support to volunteer liaisons as they build relationships with congressional offices and help those representatives move up the ladder of support for effective legislative action. And so tonight is right in her wheelhouse, and we're so grateful for both of you making time to join us. All I'm going to do is help play moderator. The first half, again, is going to be a conference overview, so we'll really walk through what to expect for our online-only format. And then Amy's going to start right at the bottom then to talk more through June Lobby Day considerations.
Great. Thanks, Brett, and thank you, everyone, for having me. So first off, I want to express how disappointed I am that we are not able to get to DC this year and be together for our conference, but we must carry on. I know we're still going to feel just as inspired and connected during our first virtual conference this year. So we have a lot of things planned for you, covering a wide range of topics that are meant to help you in your lobbying and your outreach efforts in district. We already have over 2,000 people registered for the conference, so I can't wait to see you all virtually in just a couple of weeks. So our conference is Saturday, June 13th, and it's starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. As you'll notice, June 13th is the second Saturday of the month, so the conference is taking the place of our usual monthly national call. So I'm just saying this as a reminder, since most chapters meet on the second Saturday of the month, you may want to check with your chapter to see what their plan is. Maybe they're still meeting that day, maybe they're moving the meeting that month, so just double check with your group leader to see what your chapter's plan is. So the conference is June 13th, but we also have an additional day of seminars on June 14th. So I'll give you a little bit more detail later on. If you haven't registered for the conference already, please do. This will help us to know how many people to expect, and it also helps us get the information you need ahead of the conference. So you can go to cclusa.org/conference, and that will bring you to our CCL webpage where you can find more information and how to register. So here's just an overall look at our schedule for the conference on June 13th. So we'll be starting at 1 p.m. Eastern with an introduction from CCL's Executive Director, Mark Reynolds, and then we'll hear some featured remarks. And then we're going to jump right into our breakout sessions starting at 2 o'clock Eastern. So we have 4 slots for breakouts, and there's going to be a ton of choices for you. We have 8 choices for each breakout slot. So you're going to have some decisions to make. But don't be worried because we are going to record everything so you can catch it later if you don't catch it live. And then after the breakouts, we'll come back for a closing keynote, or closing remarks with some remarks from Dr. Danny Richter, who is CCL's Vice President of Government Affairs. So the first part of the conference I'm really excited about. We're going to have some featured remarks from Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, Senator Mike Braun of Indiana, and former Florida House Representative Carlos Curbelo. So we're really grateful to have a chance to hear from these folks at the beginning of our conference. So before I dive into some details about the breakouts, I just want to let you know there's a few ways that you can find the schedule for the conference so that later on when you want to know more about what we're offering, you can go and take a look at it at any time. So the first way to see our schedule and all the breakout sessions would be if you go to our conference website, which I mentioned before, cclusa.org/conference. So this is where you probably went if you registered already. And we do have a section where it says program. Once you scroll down the page, you'll see that it looks something like this with the day-to-day breakdown. And then it's broken out by time. So then you're able to click on the title of each breakout session, and it will give you a little bit more information about what we're covering in that session. And you'll also have a chance to see who is speaking in that session. So that's one way to find the schedule. We also have a mobile app available for you. So we use a program called Grenadine, which has a mobile app and a website. So if you are using the mobile app, if you're in your phone's app store, search for Grenadine Event Guide. Once you download and open the app, you'll just enter the event code CCL 2020, and that will pull up our event, and it will have the schedule and the speakers the same way that we have it on our conference program website. So if that's easier for you to use your phone instead of the desktop, whatever is easier for you, they have the same information. There's also a website through Grenadine, and you can find that at cclusa.org/June agenda. So all three things show the same information. It's just whatever's easiest for you to access it, either on your phone, on a website, or on CCL's conference website. So if that didn't give you enough choices to find the program, we're also going to provide kind of a program at a glance for you the day of the conference. And the reason we're doing this is just so everything is kind of in one place and it's easier for you to find the meeting access information. So really going to the website or the app, that's where you would look to find the descriptions, see a little bit more information about the speakers. But if you just want to find out how to get to that breakout session the day of, this is what you're going to want to look at. So this is just a snapshot of an example of what it will look like. And again, we'll send this out to you before the conference starts. But we'll have it kind of in a chart format. So for example, here, these are the breakouts that will be happening at 3 o'clock Eastern. So we have all the titles on the left-hand side. So you would choose one of those 8 that you want to attend. And then you would look towards the right, and that column shows how you would access that meeting. So for example, if you wanted to go to the Congressional Staffer Panel, you can either access it by web or by phone. So if you wanted to go on your computer, see like we are now, we see each other's faces, you can see the slides, you want to access it on your computer, you can use the short URL there. So you can type it into your web browser, cclusa.org/allies. Or if you want to access the conference by phone, so you just want to listen in, you don't, need the visuals, you can also call in. So there is a 1877 number. That's the same Zoom number we always provide for whatever our webinars are. So once you dial into the 1877 number, then you'll be prompted for a meeting ID. So we have those individual meeting IDs for each breakout. So we'll have this document for you ready the day of, and hopefully that makes it nice and simple where you can find the breakout you're interested in and go right to the Zoom line you're looking for. Okay, so we have 32 breakouts to choose from. I don't have time to go through each one, but I just wanted to highlight a few things. You could see here on this slide, these are some of the sessions we have. So the first slot that will start at 2 p.m., I'm really excited. We have a CEO of a renewable energy company as a guest. We have someone from Our Climate. We have someone from Alliance for Market Solutions, and we have a talk from Braver Angels. The second slot that will start at 2:25, those are all going to be stories from CCL volunteers, just like you, and they're focusing on certain areas of outreach. So it could be faith outreach, conservative outreach, business outreach, international chapter development, high school outreach. And then the last 2 breakout slots, those are 30 minutes each, and that's where we're going to dive more into certain themes, such as the agriculture sector and what kind of questions you may be asked during lobby meetings. We have a meteorologist. We have Peterson Toscano of Citizens Climate Radio doing his storytelling workshop, which is a really popular one from our in-person conference. And we're going to have a Congressional staffer panel too. And that's another popular one from the in-person conference. So those are just a few. Like I said, we have 32, so there's a lot to choose from. There's a track for new people. There's a track for Spanish-speaking attendees, a track focused on youth. So we have something for everyone. We did have to cut back significantly on what we usually have during the in-person conference, but we thought really deeply about what we thought would be, most helpful to you when you're lobbying on June 16th and 17th, and for your outreach work that you're doing in district back at home. So I would suggest you take some time to look on our website or on the mobile app at the breakout sessions that we have, start to get familiar with what titles look interesting to you. Read the descriptions, see what speakers kind of jump out at you, just so you can start to get a plan of where you want to go the day of the conference. So the conference is just one day, June 13th, that's the Saturday. And then we also have some additional seminars available to you the day after the conference on Sunday, June 14th. And those will also start at 1 p.m. These seminars, they are a little longer than our regular breakouts, and they go in a little bit more depth than our conference breakouts do. So we have 4 choices: the Energy Innovation Act, Handling Challenging Questions, Depolarizing Within, presented by Braver Angels. We have the International Climate Policy Workshop, and then Beyond Diversity, Fostering Belonging and Inclusion at CCL. So you have those 4 choices. So when you RSVP and you're interested in attending one of these seminars, just make sure you include that in your registration. We do ask that question while you're registering. If you registered already and maybe you said no to this question and you decide you want to attend, you can email the conference.inbox@citizensclimate.org, and then I'll help you and I can just add that to your registration. So that's not a problem. I would just say we have limited capacity for the Braver Angels session and the International Climate Policy Workshop. So really only RSVP for those if you really do plan on attending, because we don't want to take a spot for someone if you don't think you're going to make it. And you can also find the descriptions for these seminars in our FAQs on the conference webpage. So we usually like to create a little bit of buzz around our conference and lobby days on social media. So I just wanted to remind you about our hashtag for this year's events and our social media handles. So if you're on Facebook, you can find us at Citizens Climate Lobby. For Instagram and Twitter, you can find us at Citizens Climate. And then our hashtag for this year is hashtag CCL20. So if you're taking any pictures or posting about the conference or the lobby day, be sure to use that hashtag so that we can see it. Tag us so that we see it. We want to see pictures of you. One idea is maybe just taking a picture of you set up at your computer, tuning into the conference like I did here. This is me getting ready to do this presentation today. Maybe you're snuggling up with your dog on the couch, tuning into the conference. So, just share those pictures just so we kind of have that more connected feeling. Okay, so I know we have a lot of dates to remember. June 13th is the conference. June 14th is the Sunday seminars. Amy's going to talk about lobby days. And then we also have a virtual party that's on June 18th. So this is the Thursday after the lobby days. And we are having this party to celebrate this year's conference and lobby days. Again, we usually have a nice party in DC. These are some pictures from the past couple of years. So we wanted to do something still to celebrate and to feel, like we're all together. So you're invited to this party if you've attended either the conference or lobby days or both, or even none. If you just want to tune in, that's fine. We just ask if you could register, please, again, so we know how many people to expect and so we can send you information on how to get to the party. So the party will be at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll all start the night together. We have a few surprises in store, and then we'll give you an option to choose a breakout room depending on how you want to party. We'll have one room for dancing with a DJ. We have one room for networking and mingling, and then we'll have another room for CCL trivia. So you can register for the party at cclusa.org/June party. And one last thing to go along with the party, we're planning on serving, kind of making and serving a drink together during the party. So we're looking for ideas for a signature drink. So we need your help. Is there, a drink that you like, a fun recipe or a fun name of a drink you could suggest to us? We're looking for alcoholic and a non-alcoholic drink. So if you have a cool idea for that, you can submit your ideas either on Instagram by taking a photo or a video of yourself and using the hashtag CCL signature drink and tagging us at Citizens Climate. If you're not on Instagram, that's totally fine. You can still participate. You can email Ashley at citizensclimate.org with the same idea: photo, recipe, video of you making the drink. And we have the full rules for this contest on CCL Community. So really interested to see the ideas that people come up with for this. It'll be really fun.
All right, Allison, thanks so much. We are so grateful to have you here. All right, Amy, go for it. The floor is yours, focused on the Lobby Day preparations.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Brett. And Allison, that was great. I loved hearing about what was going on the 13th and 14th. So as we transition to talking about the lobby days are the following week. You know, in past conferences when we've been on the Hill, we've done all of our meetings on the same day. So we actually have them on several different days. The Senate is on the 16th for the most part, and the House on the 17th. There might be some other meetings that we're able to get on other days that week, but those are the main days. And if you are interested in being on a lobby team, there is actually not a formal registration for lobbying. This is is being handled like a hybrid between how we normally do it in DC to what it's like for in-district lobbying that we do in the late winter, early spring, or in August, where the individual chapters and liaisons and leaders within your local area, your CCL leaders, are handling creating those meeting teams. So if you have any questions about reaching out to your liaison or your group leader, please reach out to them. Or if you don't know who they are, you can reach out to your state or regional coordinators. And I think, Brett, you've got a link to the regional coordinators for us, right? Where you can find out who those people are.
Yeah,
And then Right, and then you can reach out and say, I would really like to be a part of the meeting team for my House member or for my state senator or one of the two of the senators. Sometimes when we go to DC, you have several meetings in the course of lobby day. This time you might only have one that you're able to get into. The meeting teams are still, for the most part, 5 or 6 people. Because that is actually how we have a little bit more intimacy, so that the staffer or the member that we talk to feels safe and is able to tell us their true concerns and have a conversation built around a strong relationship of trust. Now, some meetings may be a little larger, so you can certainly ask about that. Let's see. What we're really hoping is that you do connect, because some of these teams are already being put together now, and there are already groups that are practicing on Zoom. In fact, yesterday I had a support call. I have support calls for liaisons twice a month, and we already have folks practicing, doing weekly practices on Zoom, getting people comfortable with the Zoom platform. Now, not all meetings are going to be on Zoom. We're leaving it up to the member's office. What are they comfortable with? We're clearly suggesting that we would love it to be on Zoom so that we can see each other, but some offices have security issues or would prefer a phone call, or might join a Zoom meeting, but they might join by phone. So it's going to be a variety of platforms, but we are seeing the most predominant being either Zoom or a phone-in conference line. And so the practice sessions are really, really helpful, since when we're there in person, you know, we can kind of nudge each other by the elbows or kick somebody underneath the table to give them a little signal, but that's harder to do when you're on a phone or on Zoom. So practicing really helps. It also gets everybody familiar with just figuring out how to log on, how to type in the security number, or use or copy and paste a URL to get to the Zoom meeting. And you can learn things like how to just change your name so you're not a series of phone numbers on the screen. Your member of Congress would love to know that. For instance, for me, I might say Amy Bennett, Encinitas, California, so that my member knows that I'm a constituent. Some of the other platforms that might come up might be Skype or Microsoft Teams, but we're expecting a lot of Zoom, and we're pretty comfortable that many of the offices are fine with that. And so also because of the fact that we can't read the room quite in the same way, rehearsing and working with your liaison and chapter leader, they're going to be planning out a fairly tight agenda for the call because we want things to move along and go in the direction that we had planned, so we make the best use of our member or the staffer's time. Also, the group leader and the liaison and those that are going to be on the meeting team are going to be planning how are we going to move our member up the ladder of support. And that varies with every single member of Congress. Each member is in a different position. Their district is different. The impacts of climate change are different. And this year, what they're working on with COVID is also going to influence how much time they have available, kind of where their head is at. If they're really busy with COVID, we're expecting there are going to be a few offices that aren't going to be able to meet with us, but our understanding is from a webinar I was just on with the Congressional Management Foundation that about 79% of these offices are ready to talk about other topics other than COVID. So we are anxious to go in and meet with them and just reaffirm that we are there to help move to work together to solve the climate crisis. So one of the overarching ideas that I'd like to portray about this particular year, because we have so much uncertainty around climate, because we have the elections coming up, that one of the overarching ideas of these meetings is to reaffirm our relationships with our members of Congress and reaffirm that trust. And yes, of course, we're going to be talking about the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, and we have supporting asks as well, but we really want to reaffirm that we're there to work with them in a respectful way. So let's see, how are appointments set? The way we do that is, for the most part, it's the primary liaison who sets appointments. And we have a lot more coverage across the country. We're not in every single district yet, but we're in most of them. There's only about 20 or 30 districts where we don't have a liaison. So it's the liaison, or in some cases a co-liaison, or someone that the liaison delegates this to, who is the one who's going to be making the appointment. And those are, they also work with their chapters and the local leaderships to figure out, oh, who is interested in being on this team. So they're the ones who are very knowledgeable. The liaison is the main point of contact with the office. So they're going to be very insightful on where we currently are with the member. How do we move that member up the ladder of support? And let's collaborate and figure out what's the best agenda for moving our member forward. And for some members, that's asking to actually sign on to the Energy Innovation Act. For others, we might be talking about a smaller step, such as a supporting ask. And we are also asking those liaisons to try to nail down as soon as possible what platform the office wants to use. Some of these, we already have 106 appointments set already. So we've got a few hundred more to go, but we've got enough set already to where we see the trend is either Zoom or a phone line, but we're hoping to get those details settled. So if perhaps they use Skype or something else, that you all have a chance to practice and get comfortable on another platform. Once you've gotten used to Zoom, the others aren't too different, but again, it's practice, practice, practice is the way to make those meetings successful. Let's see. I think there is, Brett is going to put a link in the chat to more support on practicing video conferencing. Let's see. In terms of getting the agenda set, there is actually a meeting plan template that your liaison working with the team is going to create a meeting plan and actually have that available for everyone to practice with. Generally, if you've been on some of Brett and my other videos about our webinars about this, we talk about the meeting roles and how the meeting flows, and often starts with a appreciation, and then we always explain why we're there in as little as 30 seconds to talk about we're supportive of the Energy Innovation Act, a graduating fee on carbon with 100% of the net revenues going back to you and I. It's always important to make sure they know why we're there overall, and then we'll get into a discussion of the members' concerns about climate and potentially that second ask, and different shares from people that are joining the meeting. Some of the meetings are going to have prominent leaders in the community that are going to join. I just heard yesterday, Jim, one of our members, is going to have several local leaders. I think they're either mayors or city council members that are going to be on the call. And again, they hopefully can rehearse and be supportive and show that they are indeed endorsing action on climate. So there will be a plan, and there is a training page on planning your lobby meeting. And Brett, if you happen to want to put that in the links, that would be awesome. And again, a reminder, because many people, we've tried to get this out, but we just want to assure everyone that we are not sending out schedules from headquarters. So you do want to look to your local chapters. And if you're thinking of joining a Senate meeting, talk to your state and regional coordinators about getting that information, because you do need to connect with that team so that you're indeed in the loop on all the communications about the practice sessions, all the information that you need to know to be clear on what the agenda is and what your role in the meeting is. Are you a note taker? Are you an appreciator? Are you someone who's going to make the ask or explain a secondary ask? So these are all things that you want to connect with them as soon as possible, because as I mentioned, many of these teams are already starting their practices. And it's amazing how, I've been doing Zoom meetings for several years now, and it's still really easy to go, where was that button? How do I change my name? Whatever it is. So it is good to just rehearse and get that a little more solid in terms of practicing. So I think these meetings coming up are going to really accomplish, again, a couple things for us. One is to reiterate to our members of Congress that we're actively involved in democracy and solving problems in a respectful way, and we would love to dive in deeper to the nuances of the Energy Innovation Act or one of the secondary acts, but we also want to be sensitive to what you're working on now. So we really practice our listening skills and demonstrate to members of Congress that we want to understand where they're at so that we can help together move us forward towards a climate solution, specifically the Energy Innovation Act.
That sounds wonderful. You're getting some +1s in the chat. I think we're all excited and really looking forward to being a part of our teams. Here is again a reminder for Alison's contact information, and Amy's is just simply amy@citizensclimate.org. Alison's here is conference.inbox@citizensclimate. If there's anything that we can do, please feel free to continue to reach out to us. I'll definitely put a link in the chat as well to the forums so that you can find out more about those too and pose any questions that you can't find available immediately in any of these other trainings. But we're so grateful for you being on the line tonight. If there's any way that we can help support you feeling more comfortable gearing up for your big Lobby Day extravaganza, please let us know. And just be well out there. Stay safe, everyone. And we really look forward to hearing how everything goes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.